Good day. The state television company Western Armenia represents the most important news for today. Today's broadcast. The 4th anniversary of Samvel Karapetyan's death. The 17th issue of Western Armenia magazine has been published. Vasilis Maragos wished that tragedies will never happen in Sumgait again. Anahit Martirosyan, first female commander of the Artsakh war. Armenian pogroms in Sumgait and Baku. The statue of Alexander Myasnikyan has been destroyed in Stepanakert to achieve the hearts of Armenians of Australia. Today is the 4th anniversary of the death of Samvel Karapetyan, a devotee in Armenian architecture. Monuments logist, this word cannot be found in dictionaries. This word over decades has been created to describe just one person's struggle. And if one day it will find the right place in the dictionaries, then the explanation part will be written, Samvel Karapetyan. His working style and vision was to go step by step through the cradle of the motherland to find, study, popularize and dedicate to Armenology those that have never been studied. He is the first researcher of many villages, settlements and places, the first photographer, the surveyor, discoverer and measurer of countless monuments, the first reader and publisher of thousands of lithographs. Unfortunately, he was able to process and publish only a part of the enormous material accumulated due to selfless work. On one occasion, Samvel Karapetyan said, "I have now reached a point in my life that I am presenting the report of the works I have done, and if suddenly for any reason I won't be able to carry it out to the end, there are those who will continue it." It has been for 4 years that the Foundation for the Study of Armenian Architecture, in spite of many difficulties and obstacles, not betraying Samvel Karapetyan's trust, continues to keep his teacher's vision alive, carrying forward to all the programs initiated by him, as well as creating new ones. In 2020 and 2024, the Foundation continues the activities of the great Higher team, published 17 works, created 3 websites and 1 film, studied the monuments of more than 500 settlements of the great Armenia. Rest in peace, great teacher. Your work goes on. The 17th issue of Western Armenia magazine has been published, articles dedicated to the questions of the Armenians of Western Armenia. The structure of the Armenian identity in the world are found in the new issue. In the 17th issue of Western Armenia magazine, you can read articles dedicated to the ceremony of summing up the funerals of Misak and Manusyan. As well as there is an extensive article entitled The Artsakh Question at the San Remo Conference in the 17th issue. Armenian, English and French versions of the magazine in PDF format can be downloaded below. All of us should make efforts in order tragedies will never happen in Sumgait again, Vasilis Maragos reported. I express my deepest condolence to everybody who lost their relatives and dearest ones in Sumgait 46 years ago. AU Ambassador to Armenia Vasilis Maragos wrote X microblog. All of us must continue to make the most determined efforts to achieve reconciliation and lasting peace to ensure that such tragedies will never happen again, he wrote. Western Armenia TV presents a story of an Armenian woman who survived the massacres in Sumgait and Baku, who took revenge on her husband in Artsakh. Hundreds of Armenian women participated in the Artsakh war. Some died on the battlefield, some returned and lived next to us. Their fight stories and names, however, are unknown for many of us. The war of Anahit Martirosyan, the first female commander, began in 1989. A large number of Armenians lived in Baku, including the young Armenian couple Anahit and Victor. They were raising 2 sons with love and dedication, building a house when the first bad news came from Sumgait. Hour by hour, the cruel and frightening news became more frequent and the life of Armenians in Azerbaijan became dangerous second by second. Anahit and Victor quickly realized that they had to leave their home and place and move to Armenia. At the moment, the important thing was to save their children and themselves. In the morning, they went out on the street with their children in their arms in order to get to the airport. But before the nearest airport, the fate turned upside down. In street, a wild mob noisy surrounded the family and Anahit gave them the keys to the apartment in fear. She thought that they need to leave the house and everything to themselves. Unfortunately, they couldn't find to the airport because a tragic incident happened with them. You can read about Anahit Martirosyan's activities on the website of Western Armenia TV. For many years, the Azerbaijan propaganda did not know exactly how to respond to the massacres of Armenians in Sumgait. It is obvious that it will not be possible to close the issue, so it was necessary to create a favorable image of the events. The various reasons and scenarios of the Sumgait tragedy appeared. Western Armenia TV presents to some of the studied scenarios on the subject and real facts. According to the first scenario, they lied, saying that as if massacres of Azerbaijan took place in 1988 in Armenia, who fled to Sumgait, where certain events took place. They tried to spread such kind of lies in the international mass media as well. Then they started promoting the idea that everything was organized by the Soviet State Security Committee. In the result, they came to an even more absurd hypothesis. Since Eduard Grigoryan and his family left Armenia a long time ago, was among the hundreds of destroyers, they focused on him. Although the hypothesis itself is absurd, the Azerbaijans are actively working in that direction. Although the hypothesis itself is absurd, the Azerbaijans are actively working in that direction. Western Armenia TV reminds that there are many testimonies that the massacres of Armenians in Sumgait was planned in advance. During the days of the massacres, the telephones did not work in the apartments of many Armenians. The police did not respond to the riots in the city. Moreover, there is evidence that there were also policemen in the ranks of those who carried out pogroms, who had listed in advance the addresses of Armenians. On February 27-29, 1988, the massacres that took place in Armenian populated city of Sumgait in Azerbaijan resulted in dozens of victims and hundreds of wounded. It became a significant event and turning point in the escalation of the inter-ethnic conflict, which led to the first flows of Armenian refugees from Sumgait, Artsakh, and Artsakh, Armenia. The statue of Alexander Myasnikyan has been destroyed in Stepanakert. Azerbaijan, following the programmatic policy of destruction of monuments installing during the liberation of Artsakh, actively implements recently destroyed the statue of Soviet statesman, politician, intellectual and literary scholar Alexander Myasnikyan, located on Martuni Street in Stepanakert. The opening of the statue of Alexander Myasnikyan took place on September 27, 2014, the anniversary day of the city of Stepanakert. Starting from 2014, by the decision of the City Council, Stepanakert City Day was celebrated on the first Saturday of September. The offer of the monument to Alexander Myasnikyan, literary presidium in Martuni, is the famous sculptor Yuri Hovanesyan. According to the Hague Convention of 1984 on prohibiting the destruction of cultural assets in the event of armed conflicts, the antiquity, old or new, or the nature of the monument cannot be a reason to justify this destruction. According to the first article of the Convention, cultural value is supranational and universal. Cultural value, regardless of its origin, is the movable or immovable heritage of great importance to every person, such as monuments of architecture, art, or history, regardless of their religious or secular nature. Therefore, heritage should be preserved whenever it is found, whenever it was created. Based on the logic of the Convention, the nations will decide what is their heritage of great importance, in this case, the Armenians of Artsakh. And no matter what it looks like or what feelings it causes in Azerbaijan, it should be preserved. And if in the 20th century the cultural heritage was necessarily endowed with the historical significance of the past, then in the 21st century visual legal system of heritage, the values of both the past and the present are considered heritages. In 1993, from September 20, Azerbaijan ratified the Hague Convention of 1954. The convention, its canonical implementation, as well as the first Hague Protocol for the protection of cultural values in the occupied territories, continues violates it, committing a number of crimes not only against Artsakh but against all humanity. To achieve the hearts of Armenians of Australia. With great pleasure, we would like to inform you that singer Sipil is preparing to visit Australia for the first time at the invitation of the Armenian General Renewal Union. Hearing about this visit, the Armenian community in Australia is waiting for the day of the concert with emotional impatience. Sipil will have two concerts in Sydney and Melbourne. The first of them will be held on March 23 in Sydney. At this concert, the talented singer will be accompanied by the Tamzera dance group and musicians, and on April 7 in Melbourne, concert will include the Azad Cherepin dance group, the Aginian School, children's choir and musicians. Sipel will be together with the Australian Armenian community for about a month and will have various contacts and meetings. This was all for today. Goodbye.
Ախաչքս քո ճամփի